Welcome back. It's time now to take a look at the top business stories. The IFC and DSG launch IMF Spring 2011 MENA Economic Outlook. Economists call for greater diversification of GCC economies. And US Treasury Secretary issues warning on debt debate. Let's look at the equity markets first. The UAE bourses both ended higher today. Dubai's DFM General Index surged 1.9% to close at 1,666 points. Especially banks performed well. Commercial Bank of Dubai was up 1.7%. Dubai Islamic Bank gained 2.7%. Even more so, Emirates MBD, the shares rallied over 10% today. Also among the top performers was Aramex, the Middle East's largest courier company, increased 2.7%. After the announced first quarter profit rose 5%. DU was up 1.5%. 178 million shares were traded, valued at 230 million dirhams. And over in the capital, the ADX rose 0.6% to close at 2,704 points. Abu Dhabi Commercial Bank more than doubled its first quarter net profit and beat expectations, with the result that its shares climbed 5.6% today. Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank also reported quarterly earnings. The shares gained 0.9%. First Gulf Bank was up 2%. The property sector was mixed. Alder Properties fell 0.6%, while Suru Real Estate gained 1.4%, and RAK Properties rallied 2.5%. 88 million shares were traded, valued at 186 million dirhams. And let's now take a look at the GCC markets, which ended mixed today. Greece will have to restructure its debt and should avoid waiting too long to do so, many experts say. The government in Athens, though, has ruled out a restructuring, saying it would devastate domestic banks and hammer the economy. To talk about this issue, we are now joined by Philippe Dauba-Pantanacce, senior economist for the MENA region at Standard Chartered Bank. Welcome to the show, Philippe. So, what to do? Is Greece in a no-win situation here?
Well, financial markets certainly priced in a restructuring for the Greek debt with a 2-year yield now at around 25%. What happened is that when a Greek got its bailout, one of the conditions was that it could come back to the market in 2012, but it looks increasingly unlikely. So the other solution of restructuring does pose the problem of contagion effect to the other weaker European economies such as Portugal and Ireland, which would be drawn into restructuring as well. But let's not forget also that the financial sector in Europe at large is very exposed to the sovereign debt in Greece. So it's true that either way, there are no easy solution out for Greece.
Let's look at the UK. Hopes are high that the royal wedding on Friday will boost the country's economy. What do you think, Philippe? Will it, or is this just wishful thinking?
Many people are pointing out that the extra national holiday or bank holiday that has been put in place for the occasion might cost the economy something around 5 billion GDP or pound, British pound. So net cost is difficult to evaluate, but we can certainly think that there could be a short-term boost to the UK economy. Especially productivity will be boosted by goodwill and nationalism in the upcoming days.
Thank you very much, Philippe. And now to our top stories. The Dubai International Financial Center, together with the Dubai School of Government, presented the International Monetary Fund outlook for the MENA region, Afghanistan and Pakistan today. The IMF's outlook for the region focuses on two developments: the situation in parts of the Arab world and the surge in global fuel and food prices. As a result, the industry experts believe the near-term economic outlook to be uncertain. However, according to the IMF's report, higher oil prices and production volumes will lead to growth this year for most of the MENA region's oil-exporting countries. Average real GDP growth for oil exporters, excluding Libya, is projected to reach 4.9% this year, compared with 3.5% in 2010. Meanwhile, the IMF has raised its 2011 growth forecast for the GCC region from 5.2% to 7.8%.
On the policy side, we need to be careful that spending really ought to be directed towards infrastructure and towards investment spending that encourages the private sector to work alongside government and to benefit from government spending. Otherwise, you run the danger of crowding out the private sector, of just spending which will just attract imports rather than create jobs, which is, I think, should be our prime concern over this period.
What is important this year for many countries is to make progress on their social agenda, but do so in a way that maintains macroeconomic stability. And for that, many of them are going to need external financial help. And in that regard, the IMF, for its part, has said that we could provide up to $35 billion in support of the oil-importing countries of the region to help them meet their financing needs.
Meanwhile, experts call for a greater diversification of the GCC economies. Further privatization and the establishment of a monetary union are the essential factors in increasing foreign direct investment in the GCC countries, a leading economist told a local paper. Currently, the level of foreign investment in the GCC is mostly concentrated in the oil and gas sector. The UAE and Saudi Arabia have currently made significant strides in diversifying their economies away from oil, but even more is required to guarantee steady flows of foreign investment, economist Zairi Belkasim said. Among GCC nations, Saudi Arabia and the UAE attract the most FDI, while Kuwait and Saudi Arabia have the greatest amount of outbound FDI. And in our fast financial news, Abu Dhabi Commercial Bank more than doubled its first quarter net profit and beat expectations. The company's income advanced to 574 million dirhams from 219 million a year earlier, as loan loss charges fell and fee income rose. Meanwhile, Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank posted a net profit of 303 million dirhams in its first quarter, up 3% compared to the previous year. Meanwhile, Aramex, the Middle East's largest courier company, said first quarter profit rose to 49.8 million dirhams, up 5% from a year earlier. The company's revenue rose 12% in the period to 595 million dirhams. Earnings were driven by strong performance in the GCC countries, where revenues have experienced a substantial increase since the beginning of 2011, Aramex said in a statement. HSBC has launched the second tranche of the HSBC UAE SME Fund, allocating $100 million to small and medium-sized enterprises. This comes after the bank signed a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Economy in January, highlighting a strategic focus on the development of the UAE's SME sector. And after the break, we will run you through what's making the headlines in international business today.